So how do you assess that after nearly pulling it off?
Yeah, well, really pleased that we made a game of it in the end, but disappointed that we didn't start the game as well as we'd like. 5 goals to 1 in the first quarter. We fully expected the Demons to come out firing. A couple of weeks since their last game. And not so much that their season was on the line, but it was a critical win for them to get themselves, back on the winning list. So, they started the game particularly well, and we worked our way back into the contest. After our quarter-time deficit, we had 3 quarters to try and chase them down, and just wish there was a 5th quarter. We couldn't quite get there, but really pleased that we're nearly out of the game at 3/4 time, and found ourselves a chance just to get back into it, but just couldn't quite get ourselves in front by the final siren.
You're talking during the week about how the Collingwood game, you took a sort of a glass half full wrap up. Do you take something similar out of this?
Yeah, well, Melbourne are a good side, very experienced side, and particularly with their key guys like Gawn and Oliver, Fritz, May, these type of guys, they've been the backbone of their side for a number of years. So I thought Big X competed really strongly with Gawn. It was nearly a break even. If Gawn got there, it was just because he kicked the goal and X didn't. But outside of that, nearly all their stats and that sort of stuff are very similar, and which is continued growth for him as a player to come up against who's been the best ruckman in the last 6 or 8 years in the competition. And we're really pleased with that. We're really pleased with Archer's role on Fritz, who he went goalless. I'm trying to think of the amount of times he's gone goalless in the last 3 or 4 years. And Will Phillips did a terrific job on Clayton Oliver. So, and really negated his influence over the course of the game. So, and outside of that, the fact that we allowed ourselves to get behind on the scoreboard and find a way to get back into the contest late in the game. There's some pleasing things. We still need to look at the reasons why we slipped that far behind in the first instance, first quarter, and then periods of the third quarter. But a lot of the statistics that we're searching for as a side, contested possession, tackles, ground balls, those sorts of things are really strong. And when you're coming up against a side like Melbourne, who have been the best side in that space in the last 5 years, that was we take some great positives out of that, and we take positive out of the fact that we're played 3 games of footy since the bye, and each one of them have been close contests. We've won 1 of them and lost 2 by less than a kick. So we just know if we keep persevering and working on our game, then a win's not going to be too far around the corner. But we've got to dust ourselves off, get ourselves ready. We've got the Bulldogs next week at Marvel. They're another great side with an experienced group, particularly through the midfield. So our players are really looking forward to every contest now, because they've given themselves a chance to be in games, and that's pleasing. We're not winning as many as we'd like, but at least we're in the contest.
How do you think your players handled the last few minutes this week when you're trying to chase the win? I mean, last week it's a different mindset when you're trying to protect a lead, and this week when you're trying to, win the game. How do you feel they kind of did it the last few minutes?
Yeah, well, I thought they were terrific. They gave themselves a chance, and even the last part of the game. When you get roll of the dice situations in the last couple of minutes of the game, I think when Zerha kicked that goal to get us within 3 points, there's still 3 minutes or thereabouts to go on the clock, and probably in that period of time we had maybe 4 or 5 chances to get the ball forward, and sometimes it's just bounce of the ball, an umpiring decision, a lucky kick that just bounces your way instead of theirs. That's the way the game was decided last week. Ball just goes one side of the post compared to the other, and that's the way it was decided this game as well. So, but the pleasing part is at least you're in games. You're giving yourself a chance, and as we become more experienced and more composed, there's probably no surprise in the sense that we've lost to two sides that are just more experienced, have had more opportunities to be in those tight sort of games. You know, at different stages in the last 2 minutes, I thought Melbourne played it really well, denied us the footy, but we still found a way. You know, it's 3 minutes is a long time to try to deny a team the football, and we still had 4 or 5 chances to take the ball forward and score. Couldn't quite get there, but. Police, even that last ball that just gets hacked forward and it's just bumbling around going towards our goal, that lands in the Melbourne guys' hands rather than ours. If it lands in our hands, we kick a goal, we win by 3 points. That's just the luck of the draw, but at least we gave ourselves a chance.
Will Phillips had Nick Dacos last week and Oliver this week. Has he found his niche as a tagger?
Well, it's certainly given him an opportunity to play in the side, and he'd been playing some pretty good footy at VFL level, and just with the rotation of guys, he did too good a job on Dacos in the first half last week, not to continue to get an opportunity in that space this week. What we do next week, I'm not too sure, but it was a little bit of a challenge because what's kept him out of the side, in a sense, is the depth of midfielders that we've had through there, and with Jai coming back this week, our captain, that puts a test on the depth of your midfield and who can play through there. But we wanted to give him another opportunity in that space, and I thought he acquitted himself really well. So, sometimes guys just need to have some sort of role like that to just find their spot in the side. One of the greatest players this footy club's ever seen in Anthony Stevens. His first 3 or 4 years was played in that sort of role before he then learned how to get the footy himself, and then in the last part of his career he was the one getting tagged. So I'm not sure if that will be the pathway for Will Phillips, but certainly in terms of playing on some of these players and teaching him where to go to get the footy, it's really important for his growth and development at this point in time.
Training, I suppose close match scenarios, the last 2 minutes, given, because you got a lot of stuff to work.
It seems a little bit comical that we weren't doing a hell of a lot of it in the first half of the year, because what's the point practicing something that you're never in close finishes? But it gives us heart that we can practice some of that now. It's not that we absolutely ignored it, but it's pretty hard for players to get motivated to practice red time finishes in games when you're very rarely in them. But that's the pleasing part of it, and we do know that in big finals, they're very likely to be close games and hardly fought contests, and so it's pleasing that we're getting that exposure and experience. And as I said earlier, just at the moment, the more experienced sides are probably know what to do in the crunch a little bit better than what we are, but at least we're giving ourselves a chance in games, and we'll learn. And the Collingwoods and the Melbournes and the Sydneys, and over the journey you have your disappointments in terms of close losses, but hopefully the exposure to it augurs well for the future. No worries, thanks guys.